Intro, they were trapped, unreachable. And then a stranger changed everything. Today, we're not doing a crazy challenge. We're not giving away $1 million. Instead, we're going to watch something even more incredible. We've gathered the most unbelievable, jaw-dropping cat rescues you will ever see. These aren't just simple stories. These are moments where everything went wrong. Cats were stuck on rooftops, lost in storm drains, abandoned in forgotten buildings, stranded in the middle of busy highways. It's insane what can happen. What makes this video different is how we're telling these stories. We used AI to create hyper-realistic cinematic visuals to put you right there in the moment. And there's no music, no sound effects, just my voice. I want you to feel the tension, the fear, and the pure relief of every single rescue, just like I did. Chapter 1. Imagine this. A tiny kitten perched on the edge of a 5-story building. Just a silhouette against the sky. Ledge so narrow you couldn't even stand on it. One paw slips on loose gravel, dangling, claws scraping brick. Wind whipping around up there. Every gust could send it plummeting. It's impossible. No fire truck ladder can reach this angle. No easy way up. People gather on the street below, a crowd of helpless onlookers holding their breath. Collective anxiety ripples through them. Phones out, filming, nobody knows what to do. The kitten is exhausted. Meows getting weaker, almost silent. It's been up there for hours, maybe all night. The sun is beating down, no water, no shade, a ticking clock. Time is running out. You assume the worst. You look away. It's too hard. Then one person says, "No." He scans the building, sees small window ledges like a makeshift ladder. A reckless, movie-like idea. He's already moving. Not a firefighter, not a professional rescuer, just a guy who won't do nothing. He climbs, hand over hand, finding impossible footholds. The crowd is dead silent. Every eye on him. He risks his life, brick by brick, closer and closer. The kitten watches, terrified, confused. He reaches the ledge pressed flat against the wall, moves slowly, deliberately. He extends his hand. The kitten flinches, then he scoops it up and tucks it into his jacket. The descent is terrifying too, but he makes it. Feet touch ground, crowd erupts in cheers. Chapter 2. The sound is what gets you first. A faint muffled cry coming from beneath your feet. You'd almost miss it, but someone heard it, and they couldn't ignore it. They traced it to a storm drain, a dark gaping hole in the sidewalk. Down there, lost somewhere in the maze of concrete arteries that run under the city, was a kitten. It wasn't just stuck. It was lost in a pitch-black, claustrophobic nightmare. Every echo, every drip of water, it's a place no living thing should ever be. Rescuers arrive, but this isn't a simple job. They can't just reach in and grab it. The pipe is too narrow, too deep, and it twists and turns for hundreds of feet. They have no idea where exactly the kitten is. All they have is that tiny, desperate sound to guide them. They try everything. They lower ropes with food, hoping to lure it out. They shine flashlights into the abyss, but the darkness just swallows the light. The meows get weaker, and you can feel the hope starting to fade. How do you rescue something you can't even see? This is where human ingenuity is just unbelievable. They realize they can't go to the kitten, so they have to bring the kitten to them. One of the rescuers gets an idea. It's brilliant. They get a remote-controlled car, tape a phone to it with the camera on and the flashlight blazing. They lower this little robot into the pipe, their own makeshift Mars rover, and begin their search mission. On the screen they see it, grainy black and white footage, 2 tiny glowing eyes. The kitten is huddled in a corner, shivering and terrified. It's alive. They now have its exact location. The team maps the pipes, brings in heavy machinery, starts digging, breaking through concrete and asphalt, a full-blown construction project for one tiny life. When they finally break into the pipe, a rescuer pulls out a small, dirty, but miraculously unharmed kitten. It blinks in sunlight. No hiss, no scratch, just curls in their hands. Chapter 3. Some places just feel wrong. This was one of them. An abandoned house sitting at the end of a dead-end street, windows boarded up, paint peeling like sunburnt skin. The kind of place people tell ghost stories about. Neighbors reported hearing strange noises for weeks. A high-pitched cry that would start and stop, a ghost in the walls. They were too scared to go near it. But one person, a volunteer from a local animal rescue, wasn't. She arrived with a flashlight and a crowbar. Prying open the front door released a smell of mold and dust that had been trapped for years. Inside, the air was thick and heavy. Every step she took creaked on the rotten floorboards. She called out, "Here, kitty kitty," and her voice was swallowed by the silence. The only reply was drip drip drip. She moved slowly, room by room, collapsed furniture and cobweb-draped walls, under beds, inside closets, behind fallen plaster. The crying had stopped. She feared she was too late, or it was a legend. Then she noticed a tiny scratch mark leading to a small, dark hole near the fireplace, barely big enough for a fist. Kneeling, she shined her light into the hole. A tiny, starving kitten huddled in darkness between the walls, eyes wide with fear. It was trapped, likely fallen from above. She spoke softly. Carefully, she broke away plaster piece by piece. The hole grew. She reached in and lifted a fragile bundle of bones and fur. Wrapped in a blanket, its shivering eased. She carried it back into sunlight. Later at the shelter, cleaned and fed, the kitten purred for the first time. A ghost story with a happy ending, thanks to human kindness. Chapter 4. There is no place louder or more dangerous than the middle of a freeway during rush hour. It's a river of steel and speed, where a single misstep means instant death. And right in the middle of it, on the narrow concrete median dividing 6 lanes of roaring traffic, was a cat. It was pancaked to the ground, frozen in pure terror. Cars, trucks flying by inches away, wind buffeting its fur. How did it even get there? It doesn't matter. It was trapped in the deadliest place imaginable. Hundreds of cars drove past. People saw it. Quick glances. But what can you do? Stopping your car on a freeway is suicide. Calling for help seems pointless. Too late by the time anyone arrived. So, people kept driving. It was a hopeless situation. A tragedy waiting to happen. The cat was completely paralyzed by fear. But then, one vehicle does the unthinkable. A truck driver, high in his cab, sees the tiny speck of life. He sees the fear. In a split second, he decides he can't leave it there. He slows his massive 18-wheeler and hits the hazards. The truck becomes a wall, a freight train stopping the flow. Cars honk and swerve. He angles his rig across lanes, stopping traffic. People are furious. Then they notice why. He jumps down from his cab, walks calmly across the empty lanes, creates a zone of safety amid pandemonium. He kneels, scoops up the terrified cat, holds it tight, returns to the cab. Interior, the cat safe inside the truck. He starts driving again, traffic flows, horns stop. Everyone who saw it understood, compassion bigger than the chaos. They didn't just witness a cat rescue. For a few seconds on a busy freeway, everything changed. For 5 days, there was only darkness, and the sound of its own weakening cries. This kitten had fallen down an old, abandoned well. A deep, dark, cylindrical prison with no way out. At first, it probably cried and cried, hoping someone would hear. But as hours turned to days, hope dwindled. Cold, dark, no food, no water. Its energy fading. Up above, a community mobilized. A family found the source. News spread like wildfire. It became everyone's problem. People arrived with ideas. Buckets with food. Buckets with water. A blanket to climb in. Nothing worked. The problem was depth and narrowness. Over 40 feet deep. Too tight for an adult. Every failed attempt hurt morale. The cries grew softer. A ring of neighbors became a rescue squad. Brainstorming, arguing, refusing to give up. They were in a race against time. Then came the breakthrough. A local construction worker had a crazy idea. They couldn't go down. Go sideways. Dig a trench parallel to the well, then tunnel across near the bottom. It was a massive undertaking, a huge risk. The old well could collapse. but it was their last, best hope. So, they started digging, hour after hour, until a breakthrough in the sidewall. A volunteer crawled in, reached into the well, and pulled the kitten into the light, covered in mud, emaciated, but alive. A huge cheer went up. It wasn't just a rescue, it was a triumph. A whole community refused to let hope die, proving that when people come together, nothing is impossible. Sometimes the hero of the story is the one you least expect. This rescue didn't involve a brave firefighter or a daring climber. The hero was a golden retriever named Max. In a quiet suburban neighborhood, a family had been hearing a kitten meowing for 2 days. They searched everywhere, under the deck, in the bushes, up in the trees, but couldn't find it. The sound was everywhere and nowhere at the same time. They felt helpless. Their dog, Max, big, goofy, gentle giant, was acting weird. He wouldn't leave a spot by a thick hedge. He sat, whimpered, nudged branches, and looked back with pleading eyes. They tried to call him away, thinking squirrel or rabbit, but Max refused to move. He was insistent. Trusting their dog, the family investigated. The hedge was a tangled mess of thorns. The father pried branches apart, and then he saw it, tucked deep inside, completely hidden, a tiny newborn kitten, no bigger than his hand. It must have been abandoned by its mother and crawled in for shelter. It was trapped, tangled in thorns, too fragile to yank out. Max, however, seemed to know what to do. He gently pushed his big snout into the hedge, nudging the kitten, guiding it toward the opening. He was so careful, so tender. A protector, not a predator. With Max's help, they freed the kitten and brought it inside, and Max didn't leave its side. He lay by the box, watched over it, licked it gently. He had been its guardian for 2 days, refusing to abandon his post. This big, clumsy dog showed more perception and empathy than anyone. A rescue driven not by human logic, but by pure instinct to protect, forming an unexpected, beautiful bond. This story doesn't start with a dramatic rescue. It starts with what looked like the end. A kitten was found on the side of a road, hit by a car and left for dead. Its injuries were horrific. It had a shattered leg, internal bleeding, and was barely breathing. Most people would have seen a lost cause. At the clinic, the prognosis was grim. The vets weren't sure it would survive the hour. The first 24 hours were critical. This wasn't a daring physical rescue. It was a medical battle fought inch by inch. IVs. Monitors beeped. A tiny body in a web of tubes. The staff worked around the clock. Meds, warmth, willing it to live. Every small victory, a steady heartbeat, a flicker of an eyelid, was monumental. The kitten, named Phoenix, survived the first night, and the next. The immediate danger passed, but the road was long. Its leg couldn't be saved and was amputated. For such a small animal, massive trauma. But Phoenix pulled through. Rehabilitation began. A vet tech took Phoenix home, refusing to let it recover alone in a cage. It learned to live again, learning to walk and run on 3 legs. Daily exercises, encouragement to move and play. There were frustrations and pain. But Phoenix's spirit wouldn't be defined by injuries. It would stumble, fall, and get right back up. A tiny 3-legged warrior. Weeks turned into months. The frail roadside kitten was gone, replaced by a happy, resilient cat that could run and jump. The payoff, Phoenix purring on the lap of the vet tech who adopted it. A new life from the ashes. From impossible danger to unexpected love, these rescues remind us what a single act can change. Each story we saw today started with a hopeless situation. A cat trapped, alone, with the odds stacked completely against it. But in every single case, one person or even one animal made a choice. They chose not to look away. They chose to climb. They chose to dig. They chose to stop traffic. They chose to listen. They chose to act. And that single choice, that one moment of compassion, completely changed the world for that animal. We wanted to tell these stories in a way you could really feel, using these cinematic AI visuals and just my voice to put you right there in the heart of the moment. Because when you strip away all the noise, you're left with the core of the story: courage, ingenuity, a profound connection. It's a reminder that we all have the power to be the stranger that changes everything. Thanks for watching.